If you're wondering how in the world people are affording their lifestyles, you're not alone. You look around and people are buying nice homes, taking vacations constantly, and somehow they don't seem to be working all that much. On social media, at work, or even just in your friend group, it can feel like everyone is living at a level that's completely out of reach. But here's the thing, it's almost never what it looks like. The reality is often the complete opposite of what our eyes tell us, and understanding why takes a little digging. Once you see the pieces behind the scenes, it suddenly starts to make a lot more sense. Before we get into it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos like this. Let's start with homes, because they're usually the biggest indicator of perceived wealth. That new house your friend just bought, a place with a big kitchen, a home office, and maybe even a pool? On paper, it looks like they must be making bank to afford it. But first-time homebuyers often spend 40% or more of their gross income on their mortgage. That's income before taxes, so the actual portion of their paycheck going towards housing is even higher after deductions. If their total gross income is $80,000, they could be spending around $2,700 a month on housing, even though their actual take-home pay is likely around $5,300 per month. Many people see a beautiful home and assume it's a sign of massive wealth, but often it's just a large portion of someone's income tied up in a single item. Their budget might be stretched, and their freedom is often narrower than it appears. Now, add in cars. Buying a new car is one of the fastest ways people make their lifestyle look more luxurious than it actually is. According to Edmunds, 20% of all new cars have monthly payments over $1,000, and a staggering 85% of new cars are financed. Even more broadly, about 40% of people currently have a car payment. Think about that friend who just got a shiny SUV. Sure, it looks like a sign of wealth, but for a lot of buyers, that payment is consuming a meaningful portion of their income. A $1,000 car payment alone is more than 20% for someone making $60,000 per year. And that's not factoring in insurance, gas, or maintenance. Suddenly, the effortless appearance of someone driving a nice car starts to make a little more sense. They're allocating a big chunk of their budget towards it. But what about income itself? Here's a reality check. The median income for an individual working full-time is just over $60,000 according to the BLS. That's before taxes, health insurance, and any other deductions. It sounds like a lot, but when you consider the average rent or mortgage and car payment, it doesn't stretch very far. Most lifestyles that look extravagant are actually powered by careful allocation of limited resources rather than massive earnings. Next, let's talk about net worth. The median net worth in the US paints a picture that's very different from the perception of widespread wealth. For those under 35, the median net worth is $39,000. For the 35 to 44 age group, it rises to $135,000. And for 45 to 54, it's $247,000, according to the Federal Reserve. Even at $247,000, that's not a guarantee of financial freedom. It could be a house with some equity, a 401k, or a small investment portfolio. Compare these numbers to the lifestyles we see online or in your social circles, and you start to realize that appearances are often just that. And it's not just income and net worth that explain the discrepancy. A surprisingly large portion of young adults are living with family. About 1/3 of adults aged 18 to 34 live with their parents, according to the Census Bureau. Living with family can make someone seem financially independent because they're likely saving a lot of money on rent, groceries, and other everyday expenses. But that's not to say it's a bad thing. In many cultures around the world, multi-generational living is common and even expected, so sharing a household isn't unusual. When arranged in a mutually beneficial way, this setup can be a smart financial move for everyone involved, while also explaining why someone might have extra cash to spend, save, or invest in ways that look impressive from the outside. Speaking of investing, consider how many people are actually participating in the stock market. About 62% of US adults have money invested in the stock market through individual stocks, stock mutual funds, or retirement accounts like 401ks or IRAs. That sounds like a lot. More than half the country is at least participating. But here's the thing. That also means 38% of US adults have no money in the market at all. They might have cash savings, own a home, or rely on other assets, but they're not benefiting from the wealth building potential of stocks. And the 62% who are invested often have modest portfolios. A lot of people take the first step into investing but don't follow through with regular or significant contributions. Maybe they contributed to a Roth IRA once or bought a meme stock a few years ago, but left it at that. So while a good chunk of people do invest, they're not the magic answer behind everyone's rich appearance. Think someone's lifestyle is completely self-made? Think again. Parental support plays a bigger role than you might realize. And it's not because everyone was born into a rich family, not at all. According to a recent survey conducted by Savings.com, 50% of parents with adult kids are regularly providing financial assistance to at least one of them. That's half of all parents actively supporting their adult kids in some way, with contributions averaging nearly $1,500 per month per kid. That money could cover rent, groceries, student loans, or even discretionary spending. What's concerning is that half of those parents say they've sacrificed their own financial security to provide that help. In some cases, support comes in different ways, like in the form of a paid-for college degree, allowing their son or daughter to graduate without debt and start life on a stronger financial footing. Most people have some form of support, whether obvious or subtle, but for others, it takes a little digging to see where it comes from. Imagine someone posting vacation photos, driving a new car, or living in a nice apartment. It may look like they're making it entirely on their own, but a good portion of that lifestyle is often heavily subsidized behind the scenes. This invisible support creates the illusion of wealth without it necessarily being earned independently. It's also important to clarify that this isn't about downplaying anyone's accomplishments. Plenty of people are genuinely doing well, building wealth through high incomes, smart investments, or successful businesses. And some people do have rich parents and they want to help their family be comfortable. But the key point is that there are fewer than it looks. Social media, selective sharing, and the factors we've discussed amplify their visibility, making success feel more widespread than it really is. Most lifestyles that seem effortless are actually the product of certain life advantages, some debt and overspending, and money stress. Not everyone, but way more than it seems. Now, at the same time, we often give ourselves less credit than we deserve. Maybe you just managed to save enough for a down payment on a home while also paying off credit cards, handling daily expenses, and keeping up with work responsibilities. Maybe you maxed out your Roth IRA for the year. Maybe you've just resisted the urge to buy a new car with a $1,000 car payment. From the outside, it might not look like a huge achievement, but in reality, you're building a strong financial foundation through discipline and smart choices. These everyday victories often go unnoticed, yet they're exactly the kind of steady progress that adds up over time and forms the backbone of real, lasting wealth. That's why it can feel like everyone else is thriving while you're just getting by. Humans naturally focus on highlights, especially others, and social media exaggerates that effect. A friend's perfectly staged Instagram post might show a pristine kitchen, a new car, and an exotic vacation, but it never shows the months of overtime that went into saving for that trip, the arguments over bills at home, or the careful budgeting that made it all possible. Everyone is making trade-offs in some way. Some people work extra hours or side gigs to afford the lifestyle they want. Others postpone saving for retirement to spend on travel or a nicer car. Some rely on help from parents or partners while navigating financial compromises and relationships. Understanding these dynamics is about giving you perspective to make better choices for your own life and recognizing your accomplishments. Maintaining motivation is a huge part of building wealth. If you're only focusing on others' achievements while ignoring their hardships and downplaying your own wins, you're setting yourself up for discouragement, burnout, or giving up entirely. So just know that what you're seeing of your friends, family, and coworkers, you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg.